Recording in progress.
Not sure if folks are speaking. I think it's on mute if it is.
I still apologize, Rob. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all right. Good morning, folks.
Exciting meeting plan today. As you can see, our committees have been very busy. So we will be voting on a consent agenda here shortly. So we do have the opportunity today to hear from a couple of members of the public, as well as from President Corcoran, our CFO and Chief of Staff, Christy Fitzpatrick. We'll also be hearing from Sydney on an update on the foundation operations. And we will be hearing from Marcus Baker and his team at Rothschild as to the performance of our endowment. We'll take a break at approximately 10:15, and then we will get into our committee reports. And I'm very excited to hear from our committees because they have been working very diligently in between our meetings. And the one thing that I'm super excited about, we're saving the best for last, is our newly revamped advancement committee, which is really why we're all here, to go out and be ambassadors that we call in Florida, tell the story, and help bring money into the foundation. So if I could go ahead and turn it over to you, Katrina, for a roll call and certify the other floor.
Okay, wonderful. We'll start off Deborah James here. Vince Carr.
Here.
Christy Fitzpatrick. Here. Mike Rom. Not here. AJ Jansen. Here. Adam Kendall.
Here.
Mary Geimer.
Here.
Monica Van Butzker. JJ Miranda. Jim McDonald.
Here.
Susan Burns.
Here.
Greg Douglas. Ben Brown.
Here.
Brian McCarthy.
Here.
Hazel Bradford. Rob Ballard. And we do have a quorum for this board. A majority of directors constitutes a quorum, so we're all set. And the meeting was really good.
Thank you. Okay, so the first item we have on the agenda this morning is our consent agenda. I hope you all have had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes. As you can see, we've had a lot going on since June. And I am seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Is there any discussion, any corrections?
Adam, I would just say the Alumni Association board minutes, I'm not sure why this board should approve them, because we typically approve them at our meetings, and in any case, if you guys weren't there, I don't know if you know whether they're accurate or not, but not a big deal. I just wanted to point that out.
Yes, we tend to we go through the motions of approving all of our committee minutes during the full board.
Okay.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. bit ahead of ourselves, but if we're ready to have public comments, Katrina, I'd be happy to entertain those.
Yes, we have one individual who expressed a desire to speak at our meeting, and I'm gonna go ahead and promote Mr. Cody to panelist.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great,
Yes,
thank
hey, Mr. Cody, thank you. I didn't know if you wanted to show your screen or not.
you. Oh, let's see.
It's up to you. Okay, great.
Hello,
You have 3 minutes.
thank you. Hello, I'm a New College alum from 2002, and I served on the New College Foundation Board in 2007. I'll speak today about restricted funds and board governance. As a board member, I think each of you should be able to answer 2 questions. First, how much money in the foundation budget is restricted by donor rules for things like scholarships? And second, was the money used in line with those restrictions after it was sent to the college? I think if you're not confident answering those 2 questions, you're not able to fulfill your fiduciary duty as a nonprofit board member. My understanding is that this board has never seen a list of which funds are restricted. A request for this list came up in your governance and audit committee meetings recently. Did the board receive that list? If not, please vote today to get it. Without this list, you cannot answer that first question. How much money in the foundation budget is restricted? There are real stakes here. When we look at last year's foundation budget, there's about 1.8 million from funds that might be restricted. It's a little unclear. But only 1/3 of that 1.8 million was budgeted to scholarships and enhancements. Is this board confident that 2/3 of that money is not restricted? I've heard for 20 years that the vast majority of the foundation funds are restricted. So seeing only 1/3 going to scholarships and enhancements doesn't sound right to me. I'm worried this will be a major problem for the foundation and the college. Given recent stories in the media about potential misuse of funds at UF under Ben Sass, we don't want a story about New College misusing restricted donor funds. Please take action today. On to governance. At recent foundation committee meetings, questions included whether Chair Jenks has the power to appoint unlimited foundation directors, changing the bylaws to allow President Corcoran to remove foundation directors without cause. Council Brickhouse spoke of the college's right to disband DSOs if he wants. He used the word disband, not decertify. And Chair Jenks last week talked about the obligation to shut down DSOs the college board doesn't think are functioning correctly. These struck me as an audience member like threats and attempts to weaken good governance in the foundation, and were very disheartening to hear. I encourage this board to ask for clarification on these governance issues from the Boggs Inspector General or the Boggs General Counsel in writing, so that all DSOs from the New College Foundation to the Seminole Boosters to the UCF Foundation receive equal and clear answers. Lastly, I'm worried Trustee Karp's memo about potential borrowing of restricted funds will lead to findings used to further pressure this board to neglect its fiduciary responsibility. Please request that any findings be reviewed by an external independent auditor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you everyone for your service to the New College Foundation.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cody. And I think we'll get some more information that you'll find valuable during the course of this meeting here today. I would be remiss if I didn't welcome AJ Jansen, our newest board member. I want to thank you for being here. If you'd like to offer any comments to the board, we'd be happy to receive them.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here and honored as well. I served on the medical board for about 6 years and feel like I have a great deal to offer. Our goals of growing our financial stability and bringing new members and interests to New College. Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. We appreciate the service. And as I mentioned, since we're doing pretty good on time this morning, Christy, if you would be so kind, we could table President Corcoran's discussion since he hasn't been able to join us yet. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if we could move forward and get a financial update on New College, I think that would be a great benefit to all of us.
So this morning I've been asked to just provide a brief update as to where we are from the college's perspective with where the status of our budget on the college side. And then as it relates to the budget that we all passed on April 17th. So basically on June 13th, the Board of Trustees had approved the college's budget ahead of the fiscal year beginning. And that represented, I don't know if the budget was completely circulated, if you all saw that from the board meeting that was presented before, but the 3.3 million, 3.34747 was represented in that budget as receipt of the funds that are being provided as support that from the budget you guys passed previously. So that would just include the same, the executive salary amount, the amount allocated for athletics, scholarship and enhancements, what we call sharing grant funding, with the section A funding you all provided in here before, as well as the lobbyists, or the lobbyist amounts that was the budget that was allocated previously. That was basically it as it relates to the foundation budget. I'm happy to answer any additional questions as it relates to the college's budget, but we're pretty much just on track right now. We're just really early in the fiscal year. Our spend's trending. But overall budget for us with all in funds right now is a little over 105 million. That's with auxiliaries, ENG funds, foundation, everything that we have. So, but happy to answer any questions if anyone has any specifics on the budget.
I have a question. Are those funds all from unrestricted dollars?
Are you referencing
The 3.4 million?
The 3.3 million?
Oh, you said 3.3? Yeah.
That was the budget that was approved by the board
Uh-huh.
on April 17th, and that is, I believe, in the pocket. In the financial section of this. The packet that was provided, that was the same amount, down at the very bottom, 3.340.
Okay. All right, so that was the total. Okay, all right, thank you.
Under section 3.
And except for 553,000, I believe those are all unrestricted funds.
You said restricted or unrestricted?
Unrestricted.
Well, can you repeat the number in here?
Said the total college support was 3.348 million. We have 553,000 that came from the additional revenue from the endowment. The rest shows 500,000 unrestricted. Then we show athletic donations and non-endowment funding, 1,295,000. So my belief is, except for the 553, those are all coming from unrestricted funds and what will be raised in the current year.
Just to reiterate, we have a 3.5% spend rate, which is one of the, if not the lowest spend rates of any DSO in the state university system. So making our job as a foundation and board members all that much more important to go out and raise funds.
Can I ask one more question? And this came from our audit in January. And I brought it up a couple of times. And because I'm not a financial professional, I'm just hoping you can try to describe this as to somebody as a layperson. It showed a $2.1 million deficit of unrestricted funds. So I just need an explanation with that sort of deficit, how we are funding some of these expenses.
Not sure the audit referencing stuff.
It's the Malden and Jenkins audit. It was our balance sheet, our net assets, and it showed a deficit of 2.1 million. And I'm just hoping we can get an explanation about that deficit and how are we handling that when we've got these unrestricted funds that we're using to pay for things like salaries and athletics and lobbyists.
So my understanding, there was a request for audit, and there's an audit that's going on currently about the financial situation of the foundation budget proper. So I believe we're waiting on the results of that for this board. To understand more of the financial picture, but I think most of what's provided, let's see, speak to this further. I don't know if Sean makes here, but, that's more into the foundation budget directly than.
It is, yeah, it is. It is the foundation budget.
We can check, Susan. I don't believe we had a 2.1, if I remember that meeting correctly, when we did the annual audit. It was more of an accounting procedure, but it wasn't a deficit. But we can get, what's his name, Brian. We can get Brian to strategic.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions for Christie?
I have a question, which is the college able to access the foundation funds that it needs for operations right now?
Can I restate your question? Is the 3.3 sufficient to cover what's needed for support?
Well, I mean, I understand there's some effort to resolve, you know, I guess, I mean, there was a memo circulated and there were some issues reconciling things that happened in the past, and but you know, meanwhile, foundation funds are used for all kinds of ongoing college programs, and faculty draw on them for various things. You'd actually be really surprised to see like how closely the foundation is integrated with the college, and as much as a faculty member using you know, a foundation fund for a relatively small project will be making requests from the foundation for payments. And I'm just asking if that process has been at all disrupted for any of those projects based on the issues we're currently trying to work out.
I think that the foundation has continued to provide a high level of customer service to the faculty through the transition and through the staff changes. The requests that we get are turned around in a time manner that I'm proud of, and they are reimbursed. They're given budgets, and assuming they stay within those budgets and their supervisor approves on the college side that that is a appropriate use, then they are reimbursed. And there's been very, very few disruptions to that.
I'd say all the time that on all levels, I'm here at the college and the municipal fitness center, or down by the water, or with the foundation, and if we could increase every single budget and there's more money given out in the last 15 months than it's ever been given out from the foundation, so whether it's faculty, whether it's student scholarships.
Yes, I definitely understand that. My question was more about like payment systems and the ongoing process in a case where it seems like we're trying to resolve some issues from before your administration came into office, and just wondering how that affected the operational, you know.
But on is more what you're describing is true. What we have said at different times to faculty, myself personally, is, you know, you're drawn from a fund that is $0, so we got to figure that out. So there's been some delays with some of that, and they all have been, for the most part, very understanding. But we've never said no. They've always got, but we got to figure out, okay, we can't keep giving you, you know, $2,000 for this conference when there's no money in that account. We got to figure out what happened.
So Ben's question to another extent is on the money, as far as we're showing in the budget, which we approved. You know, we've got, you know, 2.8 million, which we're saying we're going to bring in unrestricted this year. Well, the expenses have started already. The money is just started, but the fundraising need is easy to say that we need through all throughout the year. So sometimes there, you know, payments come, we don't have any control over them. But the need to raise money on a regular basis, if not at the beginning of the year, which is what I predicted a year ago, this is our first big year as far as a major fundraising challenge for unrestricted. And so that timing is absolutely critical. Because these expenses for coaches, your salary, lobbyists, scholarships, those are all throughout the year. So. And we need to fill that from the unrestricted money, that challenge is now.
So I'm confident in the budget that we passed back in April, and we'll be hearing more from Cindy as to how fundraising operations are going later on this morning. Do we have any other questions for Tracy? Thank you.
Very much.
Appreciate the opportunity. President Corcoran, welcome. Thank you for being here. Very much look forward to hearing an update from you on the ballot side.
Thanks. On the, just from the foundation, been talked about so far, but basically we focus here, and we have to raise money, we utilize it, we do. And, on the raising money, one, the Larry's, we've had a great trip, with our guys just got back from Connecticut. He's a huge hedge fund guy, he has said that he's gonna send us a check, and he plans on spending about $1 million before the end of the year. We don't know how much of that $1 million it's coming our way, but that was a confirmed. Yes, we were just down in Palm Beach. I don't think she's in the room. But we have a new donor down there who gave us $300,000 last year. The state's going to spend. It was somewhere between $500,000 this year before the year is out. And then we've had lots of meetings in Naples, Jacksonville, Orlando. With individual donors. So I think we're going to have a banner year this year in terms of fundraising. We have great events set up. The pandemic, I think, is going to be successful. So, like in my head, I think events are going to give us somewhere in the ballpark of $1 million. Those are things like our coaches club, our communities, all those different selling sponsorships. Planning day, casino night. We're adding another one where we're trying to get a big new celebrity. So we've had reached out to Robert Kennedy, Joe Rogan, just a bunch of big people. They come headline another Socratic stage type of event, but it would really be a fundraiser. In my head, that's about $1 million in revenues. We do, we continue to have $1 million here taking savings. We have $1 million that just comes in generically that we don't really work for. These are traditional older donors, which has been great. And I think we're going to have probably hopefully $1 to $2 million, if not $3 million raised. So I think it's going to be a better year. And then of course, spending on wisely, you guys are doing a great job. You guys are doing a procurement on investment group. I don't really get that involved in all of that stuff, but you guys are doing a great job. I think that's going to really help us turn the corner as opposed to the previous 5 years. At the college, it's just busy. I gave a full president's update at the trustee meeting. So I won't try to be as long. But on the physical plan, if you drive around, like right here, the greenhouse is on as you come down College Drive. There's a park at the front where we're going to build a brand new park. Hopefully in the next, I would say, it'll be done by Christmas, I hope. But that's and that was part of the money given by another $500,000 by another donor. Then we have the greenhouse is pretty much done. All these things should be done. This little stretch. Pritzker has the new Porsche balcony that's been repainted, stabilized. All the tanks have been upgraded. Then at Robertson Park, it's all new roof. We've got a lot of view inside and created more office spaces for the end of the growth. And we have new doors, new windows. The outside exterior was completely landscaped in brick. Robertson Park is already built out. College Hall, we should be done. On the College Hall is it's just a lot. So we had 10 construction in there and we did a beautiful job. And within like 90 days, the roof started to crack again. Plaster just starts. And we, on our 9th iteration of how to fix it permanently. We share a chiller with FSU, which also chills Catazon and all the theories are out there, but so it doesn't want to, the chiller's too cold, it creates condensation, the condensation gas, that's what's causing it, it's not leaks. But now that they're talking about insulating, but then that would drive up the heat, create more condensation. The tandem's working on it, and so we'll get that fixed, but College Hall looks beautiful, the rest it's everywhere. And then, EC knows all that there's all new signage, you can see the signs that are in the blue with the Foreman's logo on top of it. The only part of the campus that hasn't gotten new signage is down at Cables. Cables is going to be done. If you get out tonight, we'll have a reception with a new faculty. It's in the new lawn, we have white lights out there, it's just beautiful, and then we'll go down cables, the entire interior of cables is done, and now we got money from the legislature to, do the roof, for cables. The bell tower's fixed, so if you just wanna go park out there in a quarter hour, half hour, or the hour, you'll hear the beautiful bell tower working every single 15 minutes. We opened up a new bookstore there, so it's now finally our own bookstore. We're increasing the amount of merchandise that will be in there. We took what was left and added tons of there's tons of orders to fill out the bookstore. The library's been completely redone, painted. The roof of the library we're still working on. The previous administration spent about $400,000 fixing the roof and it hasn't worked, so we're still under warranty. It's just been an ongoing leak issue at the library. That's been fixed, we've got it sealed, but I think ultimately we're gonna need a whole roof again. But we're fine, there's no leakage. For now, the back of the library, we created a whole new student center. They have a big room there, on the inside, and then we get a door going from the library out to the student center, and it has, a beautiful green area, and then it has the ledges that go up to the road, and all of those are, have, grass in them. Trying to find the type of grass, fake grass. Turf, yes, that's all of those have the turf in them, so the kids can separate that. In fact, the students got back from school, this president, one of the first questions to was when is the library part getting done, and they want to be able to hang out there, 24 hours. So we can also put cameras out there so that they can hang out there if they're safe. And then crossing the street, the bridge is getting new lettering on the bridge, so you're gonna just not too many people will drive around here and not know what new college is. I mean, we've got signage everywhere. On the other side, we redid the student hop inside, outside, we redid the CAM Center, we redid the Hampton Classroom building. We finished the Z dorm. We've done some landscaping over there, and the entire inside of the Hamilton Center has been redone with the new vendor for the food. So if you go over there, the only part that's not done is they have like a self-serve area that will be done until September 14th. And then as you go down, if you drive by and stop by the pool, the Jumbotron's on. I don't know, the kids were posting videos all last night, hanging out by having a pool party, and they were watching some sort of movie. We put in nice divanas for the kids, chairs, like a little play, like bocce ball kind of area. And the entire inside of the gym got expanded, and so now, well, we had a racquetball court that wasn't being used, now it's a full gym in addition to two studios. So the gymnasium was fantastic. Across the street, we were doing softball field. And it should be done in probably the next 4 weeks, and then that's why I was really looking forward to Christine. I spent a lot of time working with her on the portables, making sure that they're on schedule to get those portables up and running according to our satisfaction. So they look like they're good. The rain always kills us. They when we see the rain, we love it for the landscaping because we landscape everything, but we don't like it for the construction. On the faculty side, we had 43 new people here. We did the faculty orientation. It's going fantastic. Our existing faculty are pairing up and doing mentorship programs with our new faculty. It's just a tremendous amount of energy. We had faculty lunch last night. We have new faculty introductions tonight, and then we have a reception at the Gables Mansion, so it's always a good time. But they're all up and running, and then the state mandates the new core curriculum. We're working on that. All the faculty are submitting courses that they want to be considered for the core curriculum. But that's going fantastically. On the money on the state side, again, it's, we're doing great on that side. And we're doing great on the federal side. In our last conversation with Burlington, I think we get $3 million for resiliency along the Bayfront. And he feels confident about that. And the big thing right now is we probably wasted, and I say wasted as probably an in-play word, I shouldn't say that. We've spent an inordinate amount of time that I'd probably rather spend doing something else. But for the first time in the history of the legislature, there's proviso language relating to new college that says that we have to document what our budget looks like for the next 5 years. I can assure you, I don't care if you go to Florida, Florida State, USF, any of those places that say, give me your budget 2 years out, and then we compare the 2 years, it's grossly inaccurate. It's a waste of time. Part of the biggest reason is you don't know what you get from the legislature. We know what our recurring is, but look at new college. We've gotten almost $100 million, almost all of it non-recurring. You can't predict that and budget for that. So how do you know when the budget is $28 million when we got here? recurring, and now it's $67 million. And a ton of that is non-recurring. I just say to you guys, because it's just an absolute non-starter, but you know, thanks to Christine and the team, we put it together. We got to finalize that because then the board of governors will approve this 5-year spend, and it releases another $15 million that we got in the budget. So, and it's really just, you know, a small cadre of people. You know, the support generally from the House and Senate and the governor's office is fantastic, but there's, you know, there are those opposition, and I don't know, David, did you update? We've been sued, grieved, federally, state, stop orders from cities. I can't even think of, you know, audited, investigated, federal Department of Education, state auditor 64 times, and we've not lost one single case, not one. And we will not, we dot every I, we cross every T, because we know the screw is that great. But on the faculty side, it's fantastic. And then on the student side, we set another record, so we're back-to-back records. Also on the faculty side, I think we're really close on union contracts. We signed it with, we're good with our NP, we're good with AFSCME. The PBA is pretty close to finalizing the deal. They just switched lawyers, so it's really on their part. We've been trying to get this done for about 90 days. And then the faculty, I think we find out there's an agreement in meeting the lines. They just got to get the final vote. But it'll be back-to-back 5+% years. And there's never been a 5% year in history of the college. So we've had back-to-back 5.25%, which is great. So we need to get our salaries up, especially with our existing faculty. So that's exciting too. And then on the growing students, again, another record of students. We're up about 25 points in the SAT. We're seeing the ACT. We want to get those scores up. I was literally 2 nights ago was with some of our leadership in our faculty. And you know, to the foundation, I would say you guys, you know, start out the year, you know, selfishly on our part, if you can say, here's how I'm gonna get $50,000 for the foundation. That's it's game over if everyone can bring $50,000. With the faculty, I don't know if you can just bring in one student. And then when I say one student, sports is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's higher education or inside higher. There's all of a sudden a ton of articles about adding sports programs and the value to it. But that's easy. So those just come. So we know we're going to have 200+ kids every single cycle. What we need to do is hit that 200, 250 rock star students. So if you look at the business plan that we released to the Board of Trustees, it talks about how we're targeting that top 6%. We got it down to literally the school level in the entire state. And if we, you know, the faculty is super engaged. You know, if our faculty came up with 1 or 2 students and we came up with, you know, this new strategic plan works. I think the fall of 25 could be an amazing new class. We will do it in a 400 range, and our scores will reach 9 jumps. Our retention rate went up 9 points, which is fantastic. And you're seeing a complete flip in why students are leaving, why students left prior to this last cycle. Most of the reasons were it was a toxic culture. I couldn't find friends. I was bullied. I wasn't liberal enough. People didn't share or hate my ideology. Those are the ones that you can choose. Dominated the top. And another one was personal physical or mental issues. The personal physical or mental issues was about 37% in the past. We've dropped that down to 5%, which is fantastic. And on all those other issues that are related to relationships or personal campus culture, all have just plummeted. The top reasons that we went up 9%, which is great, but the top reasons, but still we're at 74%. We want to get 85 to 90% is at a minimum number. And so to get there now, it's a very clear path, because most of the challenges, which we're working on that with the faculty again 2 nights ago, and we started talking through what these new challenges are. But it's, you don't have my AOC. You didn't have this course. And the big ones are in the economics business side and in the arts. We just had another donor give us $100,000. We're bringing on a new music instructor. We're starting to create basically trying to mirror a little bit of University, our own orchestra. And so, those are the types of things that keep those kids here. We have those kids and they're not enough for the arts, but now we have our orchestra, we have these new art instructors, we have new art historians, we have, these, nuanced business degrees, which our economics professors have been saying to me, rather than grow master's programs, they want to grow AOCs. So, but the good news is we can fix that and we will, working with the faculty. So I think we're going to see greater student growth and greater retention, which will really help with our metrics. I think those are I forget, but I think the unique contracts.
What about the airport change?
The airport, that's super disappointing. Again, it's not us, in the negotiations that the airport was having with the FAA. And again, I'm not a conspiracy guy. But the law that they're hanging their hat on in the negotiations was a 2018 law. The FAA implemented that 2018 law with a regulation on January 8th, 2024, 6 months after we were talking about having this land purchase, and 6 years after the law was passed. In fact, ours, not ours, when I say ours, because we're involved, but the airport's submittal was sent January 9th, 1 day after this new rule change. And the rule change really focused a lot on eVTOL technology and drones. So they're saying we might need it. The airport, that airport's up to 4.4 million visitors. It's just skyrocketed. The leadership's completely and tremendously innovative. That's why this deal even came apart, because they came to us and saying, hey, we're trying to do this. It's a win-win for the community. Let's do this. My point in saying that is they already have an eVTOL and drone place already in the plan that's going to be developed. They don't even need that space for it. And then the second one was the deal was too good for us. It doesn't make us look bad, but I'd rather have the deal. And the third one is they don't like our, the two leases over there, 57 and 66. The 66 has an inflation kicker and 57 doesn't. And so they were saying, go after New College for the 57 lease and get an inflation kicker. And so basically, the airport leadership, we met a week before Saturday, and they thought the best course of action was to withdraw and realign. They do think that if there's a change in administration, we could maybe look at that again. I think the level, they feel very comfortable with the level of FAA that's very, that knows the whole process well. That's how I would say it. They're very supportive. So the airport withdrew their application, and we have a bunch of different options still there that I wouldn't rule out. So for those, it would take some time to figure out. But there's a possibility with, instead of doing the swap, which we did, I got the price to $11.5 million, we don't swap. Instead we say airport will sell you these properties, maybe even we'll sell you some air rights for the takeoff zone. And maybe we get $5, 10, $15 million that we can continue to develop the campus, and we'll figure out the remaining 30, 40 acres later. So I would say it's I'm terrible optimist, but I would say it's a delay. Not a defeat. That helps.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, we did get the license plate redone. We lost our license plate. We got that reinstated. The board of trustees, we presented the board of trustees. So we submitted the license plate. It takes about 5 to 6 months to go through the THSMD process. But probably early spring, middle spring, we should have license plates. So, and then the mascot got named Rudy, ROOTY. So,
one thing on the license plate that's good news for this board as well is all of the funding that comes in for the sale of the license plates comes into the foundation. So that's just another revenue source. So we plan to grow that, bring about 40,000 a year before what we lost in license plate. So that was not even pushing it at all. So now if we push it, we're gonna have a pretty good little revenue stream as well, which is great. It's over sort of dollars. So that's helpful. The other thing was enrollment numbers.
yeah, I think we're not. I say we'll know by the end of the week. We're probably in the ballpark of 373. I think it's the actual number. Total enrollment. So I think last year we got to 34 or 330. Yeah, 34. So we're up again in enrollment. We'll be up again next year.
Our total school population is around 850 or
So we're about a year ahead of the 5-year plan. This legislation goes that if you want to do 1,200 in 5 years, I think we'll be closer to 1,200 in 4. So that's a good thing. But the more important part of the enrollment isn't just the numbers. We've gotta get 200 to 250 bits. That's what I was going to say. I met with the faculty leadership. We spent hours on, I lose track of days, so it's Wednesday. So then Monday night. And we spent hours together, but it's like, guys, all of us gotta put our heads together to get that 250. If we get that 250, it's game over. We're gonna be in a league of our school. We're gonna have off the chart scores and off the charts amenities. It's gonna be pretty special, but that's the goal of that 250. And then you were reminding me of something else. Oh, we're also working on different enterprises. So one of our newer trustees is working on to continue to find revenue sources. So we've done a revamp. We looked at Powell Crosley, and they do about anywhere from $500,000 up in revenues. We only do about $100,000 in revenues, and I honestly think they haven't been in both places. College halls are much better than me than they're both beautiful, don't get me wrong. But then Powell Crosley, down at Catazon and down at the museum, they do foreign revenues. And so what we're trying to do is create some sort of enterprise that David's been working on with one of our trustees. And we will create that, and the revenues would come to the foundation. And then once we can build it up to maybe we get to $1 million in recurring revenues, hopefully pretty quickly for all these different events that we could do. Because we also have the cables mansion, which is local, we have money for the outside, we got money for the roof. So the inside's done, the roof will be done. Now we just gotta do the outside stuff going. But then I'll be just a beautiful venue too. But if we can get to $1 million in revenues, then we can go to the bond market and bond against that $1 million in revenues, and 1 million suddenly becomes, $15+ million. So again, to continue to build out, and it's nice because that money is, we have full flexibility as opposed to our region. But there's a lot of those types of things that are percolating, so hopefully what's ready.
The business plan has been a very useful document, although I think we could leverage it a lot more in terms of the relationship with alumni. It really helps me to have a more grounded conversation with alumni, and it might help to just recount for this board the iterations we've been through and where we are with the business plan and what we're sort of expecting or required to do in terms of the business plan. My understanding is it was shown to the Board of Trustees and adopted by them in June. And then it got circulated to this board around that time. And it's very meaningful in terms of thinking about those questions that alumni have of how do we integrate the athletics program into the college over the long term? What's the fate of the contract and narrative evaluation system, which I am very happy to say is mentioned in the business plan, the current one, but I don't know if you or Christy could offer any comments about like how the business plans work and what we, how they kind of unfold over time, because they've been very helpful to me.
Yeah, we'll keep massaging it as we go along. But in the business plan, it has the criteria moving forward, how we can grow, and then we built out like the money side of that was what we've been working on. But obviously, one of the key components is our academic system. I mean, we think that in my 15 months here, our academic system has been undersold or not sold at all. I think it's special, it's unique, and when we go to our welcome Wednesdays or when we do our recruiting with our students, we can tell story after story. As you guys know, my son goes here, and he wanted to, over the summers, he said, Dad, can I borrow some money? And I'm gonna go set bait fish traps out in the bay, and I'm gonna sell the bait, and I can make this much money. And I told him, I said, look, I'll give you that. It was $1,000. I'll give you the $1,000, Jack, under one condition. I go, you go to New College. I mean, it's an amazing place that you can never do this anywhere. I want you to get with your faculty advisor. I want you to get with your he has a favorite economics professor. So I want you to get with that economics professor and talk to him and say, this is what I want to do over the summer, but can I, they'll make you do an entire business plan. They're going to make you learn what, fixed costs, capital costs, employment costs, taxes, fees, regulations, licensing. You're going to have to build out a whole new business plan. I go, you can do that at New College. And then I actually started thinking that it might not be a bad idea, but I got talked to the faculty. So what they do like the idea is that, one of our ISPs is we are free, but one of our ISPs is every student or a group of students has to start a business. I think if every single American started a business, realize how difficult it is. I don't care if you succeed or fail, I just want you to go through that. And I think you're gonna be even more marketable, be more employable, and even more dangerous out there in the marketplace. So we constantly do that kind of stuff, and, Dr. Reed has left, she got a great job up in, DC, I think she's staying locally, but she's got a job up there with America. So there's gonna be a faculty leader, and I know a lot of them that we talked to, as we did with Dr. Reed on a regular basis, we're super excited. But I think everything, you've definitely, last year, this time, talking to you guys, I was still nervous about success. I get less and less nervous about success and more desirous for excellence, which is a nice place to be. And I think we're having that working with our faculty, bringing these new people, working on the recruiting, and constantly massaging the business plans to have an academic system that's an inherently new college, and we just build on that greatness, and get back to where we want.
I just want to make one little tiny comment, which is that I think the flexibility we offer through the traditional academic program, which has ISPs and contract system and narrative evaluations and advising, is probably really good for people who want to achieve high athletic performance when they're at New College. I mean, I had a classmate who used that way. I mean, taking advantage of that close relationship with the faculty, sponsors and advisors, and the flexibility that that system offers. And she has went to the Olympics recently. And it's, Sarah Newberry, and I just think it's interesting to explore how we can use that to integrate our burgeoning population of student athletes, really fully into the program. So I won't take up more time. I just felt I had to make that one comment.
Director Brown, I want to thank you for the comments and for all the work you're doing with the Alumni Association and President Program. And thank you for hosting a town hall with the alumni. I believe it's on the 28th at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that anything you can do to encourage participation, we greatly appreciate it. And President Program, I think you've taken the time to do it. Alumni definitely want to hear the good things that are happening here. And hearing from you and Christy gives us as directors some insight when we go out to the community. It's not about everything you're reading in the local newspapers or national newspapers for that matter. But there are really a lot of great things happening here at New College that we can all get behind and be excited about. And we're looking to raise money for the school. Any additional questions for President Corbin or CFO Christie? If not, thank you both. I really appreciate you being here. And that's it. Let's get an update on engagement.
Everybody. Okay, so I am going to, so I'm actually I was gonna start with our goals and priorities. I think what I'm gonna do is just
Cindy, is there anything we should be referencing in our board packet, or is everything on the?
So I'm just gonna start on the last page, just because of this presentation. So I want to, since we've been talking about FY 24, our previous year, I just want to start at the last page, just to give you guys a visual, kind of our overall achievement for last year. So I started based on feedback from all of you. I want you guys to feel like you know what's going on, you know what's coming in. I actually have a clipboard here with me that you're all welcome to view. At some point today, I can pass it around. It's all of our donors from FY 24, $1,000 and up. I didn't feel we need to have every single one, but this shows you who gave to us how much, and I want to be able to share that with you guys so that you can see it. Okay. So this is just a visual for all of you to show cash received and then cash committed. Right, say cash, money. It is broken up in unrestricted, restricted, and what went into the endowment. And then to the right are just highlights that I think we should all be proud of. We had 511 total donors. Where did that talk? That's okay, it says total donors. And our average gift amount increased by 60% from the previous fiscal year. 54% of our donors had never given to New College. And we raised over $400,000 at Story on Plan B. The reason that's significant is, was obviously the first time that the new staff had hosted this event, and I think we started very late in the game. So I think that's something that we're really proud of. We've also launched the Alumni Society, which is the President's Circle, and we've launched the Mighty Bean Athletic Coaches Club. Both huge projects that we've had tremendous positive feedback from the community, from board members, from the New College community. So those are some big achievements. We're still working hard to improve all of our numbers, such as our alumni participation rate, that's a priority, as well as just our overall numbers. So next I'm going to go into how are we going to achieve. We basically want to okay, so now we're going to talk about this year, which, as you guys know, our fiscal year is July 1. So I want to remind everyone what our mission is. Our mission is to support the priorities of New College of Florida, Florida's designated honors college. This is accomplished by securing funds as a result of cultivating and stewarding individuals, foundations, and corporations, and through the prudent management of assets. Our goal this year is to raise $5 million in gifts and pledges. That is accomplished with the president, all of us here, the NCAA, and all of our stakeholders. We will continue to cultivate and solicit our major donors, look for new donors, and focus on our priorities. Our priorities are buildings and facilities, our athletic program, the Socratic Stage Series, faculty support, and plan giving. We're continuing to target the community, alumni, and national foundations. I'm very excited today. Adam mentioned that our advancement committee is going to be presented, led by Director McDonald, and Jen Groff is assisting him in that. And so I think we'll all be really excited to hear from them. We go into more detail. So our goal is to raise $1 million in foundation support. That will be through our Alumni Society, our annual fund campaign, Giving Tuesday, and our Socratic Speaker Series. The president mentioned we're exploring having a annual kind of finale to the Speaker Series where we can hopefully get a big name person that will draw the community outside of New College, all over the place, to come visit the campus and hear from whoever we're able to get. Additionally, we want to try to raise $4 million to support the college. That will be done through events, through Plan B, our historic preservation, the other revenues, which is something President Corcoran mentioned, and that was our event revenues. That is now going to be managed under the foundation. And that is, the potential there is huge, and I'm very excited about us being able to take that project on. Athletic support, as Larry loves to mention, and rightly so, that is a huge new challenge that we have on our hands, and I'm very excited about it. I'm very confident that we will be able to support the athletics program. And
as I mentioned, we launched the Mighty Canyon Coaches Club. We have a signature event, which is being rebranded as the Mighty Canyon Royale. That will be in February. You'll hear more about that later. National grants, of course, all of your support as well as the Board of Trustees support, and then plan giving. Is always something that we want to focus on. So this goes a little bit more into detail of how we plan to raise that money, $1 million in foundation support. Jump to, and then again, the 4 million for the college. This is how we plan to do it and execute. We're looking at hiring someone to specifically focus on athletic development. We're not at the stage yet where they have a separate DSO, so and that's fine. That person would still work within the foundation, but focus 100% on athletics. So hopefully we can get that underway. Again, Plan Day, we've launched a corporate giving program. Jen will speak to that under the advancement. We are continuing to promote our historic preservation buildings and that revenue. And then we are engaging with AMFIL to solicit national foundations for grant opportunities. So who does this involve? It involves all of us. It involves all of our faculty, all of our staff, all of our alumni, and all of our community. And these are ways that we're engaging with the alumni. We really are focusing on increasing their participation rate. How can we get them to want to support? And I do think the SRTG partnering with the Giving Challenge was a huge success. It was something that they felt confident that their money was going directly to students. And I'm proud of Ben and your team and everything you did there.
Are we gonna do that again?
So yes, it's actually every other year. So next year, multiplier for sure. We also are looking to hire a staff person who is more focused on alumni development. We've been figuring out during the transition, the structure of the staff and what works, and we didn't want to make any, permanent decisions. So I think we're at a point now where it would make sense for a staff person to solely focus on alumni development. We already have 3 alumni regional events scheduled throughout the year. Washington, Chicago, and New York. So that's exciting. And we're always looking to encourage the faculty and staff to participate in the payroll deduction campaign. I think we're at almost 50. Whereas when I started, we had 2. So we're proud of that. And then we're creating a community ambassador program. So just quickly, that's more of a cultivation tool. I talk to so many people in the community who love what we're doing and they want to be part of it, but they maybe don't have the time, right? So this would be an opportunity for people just to put their name down, like, we're with you, we want to support you, we want to come to your events, send us all the emails, send us all the stuff, and we'll help however we can, but they don't necessarily have the time to be on board. So I just want to remind everyone that you are the essential part of this foundation and our success. We can only be successful with your partnership, and you guys have the connection, you guys have the knowledge, and we need you to continue going out in the community and connecting us with people that you think would be a good fit. And that's why we're all here, because the connections that you make, the money that you raise will directly go to the college, to the students, and continue to build in their success. So please always keep that in mind. I ask all of you to identify 5 people that are not yet affiliated with the college that you think could fill some type of gap, whether it's on our board, whether it's a donor, whatever the case may be. Always feel free to connect them with me, the president, he's always available. I'm always available, anyone on the staff. And I just thank all of you for what you're doing, and we're gonna have a record-breaking fundraising year. And I can't do it without all of you, so thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Any questions?
Yeah, Sydney, as for the last bullet point there, are the, no, just the getting more community involvement.
Okay,
Are we gonna start up the, whatever it's called, cocktails and conversation thing again?
yes,
Okay,
yes, we actually have those scheduled, and that's part of that. Jen's gonna speak to that. in the
Okay.
presentation.
I have found that's a very good way to get people to get engaged with the college. You're not asking them to pay money. You're just asking them to come by on a, what is it, Friday afternoon or Tuesday or whatever it is. And just check it out. And I've had people do that, and it's a friendly environment. They can hear, President Corcoran give a little talk on the college and meet friendly people, understand what New College is, and it's an easy way to get people in. So I would encourage everybody to take advantage of that when we get the going again.
That's a great point. We are trying to create organic opportunities that you can invite people where they don't, there's no fee, right? There's no cost. When the weather gets a little cooler, we'll have it outside on the bay. I mean, who wouldn't want to come to that, so, and hear from the president and all the positives. So, yeah, and anything that you guys, the ideas you have, so I'll let you speak, but yeah.
Well, I think, with that, I mentioned about that for PG, if the donor came forward, or even the alumni wanted it to be a campaign where there was a donor who matched up to a certain amount, the foundation would work with you to create that campaign to successfully run it. So things that you want to get behind, we would be happy to work together. And the conversation classes are going to be in the advancement booklets and their plan for September, October on a Thursday. And I'll go through the trajectory of, just bring someone along free, have a drink. Obviously, you can see the energy from hearing President Corcoran speak. It's very exciting, and so it'll be a natural gateway for them to be part.
So I think you've heard that we
Okay.
certainly have a lot of initiatives going on here at the foundation, so I encourage each of you to get behind at least one of those initiatives, bring a friend, work with staff. Susan, you had a question?
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations. There's a lot that's been done this past year, and a lot that's looks like it's been achieved, so congratulations. I thought it might be useful for the board, when I looked at those pie charts. Maybe they were broken down this way, but I was like, could we get a pie chart that said, the amount that was in cash, in kind, and pledges?
Yep, so the received is received, so I think, and then the committed is in kind,
I think it would just be useful for the board to see how that's broken down.
A lot of the big donations, auction items, the wine, the champagne from Rothschild, things like that are all.
That'd be great.
And otherwise would be an expense that we would have to have for the fundraisers. So things like that.
I have a point, if I may, Adam.
Yes, Monica, is that you?
Yes, hey, hi.
Hi.
First of all, kudos to Jen and of course Sydney, and progress is being made. I did an informal market research. I called 3 CEOs and I asked them, I know digital fundraising is working, but does direct mail work? And all 3 of them said, oh my goodness, yes. You do it simultaneously, and yes, now you're not going to get $1 million gift, but you'll get maybe 300,000 this fall by targeting a cause, of course, and doing direct mail, especially to the alumni. I sent a letter to the alumni, and a man called me from North Carolina and asked me about pay, asked me how it was working, and gave us $50,000. Another alumni gave us $100,000. And I wish he was part of this group now. So I just want to throw that out there and mention that to Sydney and Jen. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. And Sydney, thank you for your report. I believe we have Marcus Baker and his team with us, and moving on with the agenda. We can turn it over to our investment manager, Rothschild and Co. to get a presentation on our portfolio and our endowment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning, Marcus.
Great, good morning. Let me just see if I can share my screen, 1 second. Great, so I'm conscious that I'm sitting between you and your coffee break, so I will try to be relatively brief. I'm sorry I'm not there in person today. I would have liked to have been there, but I was told that I was only able to present virtually. So what I was going to do for you is I was going to give you a quick update on the portfolio, quick update on performance, and then perhaps talk about the next phase of the portfolio. So just to give you an update on what we've been doing since we last updated the foundation board in April. So since then, we have added a few new positions to the portfolio. So we have a new company that we've invested in called MTU Aero Engines that we bought in May. There is some more detail on this later on in the pack. We have also added some protection to the portfolio. So we have added 2 new put options. Just a reminder, these act as insurance. So during periods of market volatility, they protect the portfolio. They provide us with a source of liquidity if we decide to use them, if the volatility is particularly bad, and then we can reinvest in things at lower prices. Obviously, they act like insurance. And so when you buy them, if you don't use them because markets have gone up, then they expire worthless. And one of the put options, as you will see there at the bottom of the timeline, expired in June. The other changes to the portfolio, there have been down, which you can see down at the bottom of the page, we've made some increases to some holdings. You will see 2 additions to Eurofins. This is one of the companies that we hold within the portfolio. There was a short report from the short seller Muddy Waters in June. The share price fell significantly. We did our work. We decided that there was no real case to answer, and so we added to the position there. That has significantly since then. We've also added some portfolio protection as well, given that times are good at the moment for markets. We want to ensure that the portfolio remains protected should the outlook change and things become more difficult. Given prices have risen relatively significantly, as you will know if you follow markets, we've also taken the opportunity to decrease some of our shareholdings in some of the companies that we own, as you see there on the bottom right of the page. It's nothing to do with the companies themselves. We still think they're great investments. It is just that we think that after a rally like we've seen, just taking profits and being prudent. So the way in which the portfolio is currently positioned, we have just over 65, almost 66% of the portfolio is invested in return assets. Again, these are broken down between companies and funds. And we have just over 34% invested in diversifying assets. We have been fortunate in that the environment that we are currently in is one where we seem to have positive equity performance, but we also have a positive interest rate environment. And so we've been able to, if you like, get a return from lower risk investments like fixed income and cash, whilst still having a good amount of protection within the portfolio from the portfolio protection and alternative strategies, and yet continue to run a good amount of return assets. So moving then to performance, as you will see on this page, year to date, the portfolio is up 5.5%, and that follows last year when the portfolio was up 17.7% over the period. So cumulatively, since the inception of the portfolio in December 2020, you'll see that the portfolio is up just under 23% over that period. So whilst we are above inflation, we're still behind our return objective. And that's really as a result of 2022, which was an extreme year where the portfolio was down 14%, performed well in the context of the market environment. But obviously inflation, as you will all be aware, has been moving forward significantly over this period. We do expect to catch up on that return objective, over the next few years. Obviously, that will probably not be something that New College experience with us. As you can see on the bars on the right-hand side, the contribution over the year to date has been driven primarily by return assets, which is what you would expect in this market environment. We've also, however, seen a positive contribution from our diversifying assets, which is really encouraging. And as I say, that comes from the fact that we have been in a positive rate environment. And so the cost of the protection that I talked about, which we've been adding to the portfolio, has been offset by higher rates. So on the whole, the portfolio remains on track. As you can see from the bottom of the bottom of the page, the initial foundation contribution was just shy of $44 million. Over the period that we've been managing the foundation, there have been withdrawals of $7.4 million, and the profit or the investment gain over the period, over the 3.5 years that we've been managing the foundation's endowment, has been $9.6 million. So the portfolio value as at the 31st of July, as you can see on the page there, is $46 million. So I'm happy to maybe take any questions that any of you have in a second. But as some of you will be aware, I was informed last week that after just over 3.5 years of working with New College Foundation, for no apparent reason, Rothschild & Co. will not be invited to the final round of the RFP process, and therefore our management of the foundation's endowment will sadly end in October. Whilst we will always respect a client's decision to change advisor, in my 18 years of experience dealing with clients all over the world, and having discussed this matter with colleagues who have close to 40 years of experience, we have never come close to experiencing a chain of events similar to the last year at New College. On numerous occasions, and to this day, we have been commended for the investment performance and level of service that we have delivered to the foundation. We are therefore mystified by the reasons that have led to this decision, and privately, until now, questioned the integrity of the process behind the decision to retender. We are, of course, disappointed that our support of New College has been forced to an end. However, putting this disappointment aside, please rest assured that we will, of course, continue to carry out our responsibilities to the best of our ability and provide the highest levels of service until the foundation account is closed. However, we would be grateful for some clarity on the reasons for our exclusion from the RFP process and welcome feedback on the reasons for terminating our engagement.
Thank you for the presentation, Marcus. Do we have any questions from the board for Marcus?
On this last point, will there be anything given, any information given on the reasons? But you were including the process, you just didn't name the last one.
Yeah, we'll be hearing from our investment committee later this afternoon. However, yes, Rothschild did submit an RFP for this process, but we'll get some more information when we turn it over to the investment committee shortly after 11.
But will they get any information on this class?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, all of those committee sessions are publicly noticed and available for the public to attend. But I have not been part of them routinely in the last several since they went from the first round of selections to the final. So I can't provide any insight anecdotally on that. But I would say it would be up to the individual board members, committee members, whether they want to engage in private conversations with Rothschild. But
yeah, Marcus, respectfully, I think we will have someone in touch with you once we have finalized this process.
Thank you. As I say, it would be good to understand the reasons behind the decision.
As a board member, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done. You've stepped up and delivered, and obviously we have some very challenging times there for the entire world, and we understand how you handled that as well. And just really want to say thank you for the 3.5 years that you have and guided our assets, and the presentations that you and your partners have made have been very, very professional, and we're truly grateful.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you too.
And I would like to thank Marcus. I've been through the whole process with him from the beginning. And I can tell you, I've learned a lot more about finances. And they've been very clear about stating how it works. And they've been under a lot of pressure. Thank you, Marcus.
Well, thank you, Monica. Again, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you for the good returns.
Mhm.
Okay, that brings us to our break in the meeting. So if I can ask everyone to be back shortly before 10:30, so we can resume. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hi, baby. I'm gonna take you out so you can do your pee-pee. Mommy will.
Oh, and Katrina and Alice have been incredibly, Alice has been a lot of work too. Like just the, basic stuff like having an infrastructure to have meetings. That wasn't actually so easy under the previous foundation administration of Mary Ann Young. It wasn't so easy to get a public notice out. At least now, if I want to have a meeting, I'll put out a public notice. And even if it's an informal. I appreciate, a lot of it wants to do, I think they're just really looking to have a conversation, how can we figure this out and work out together?
I do want to point out that these circular balls on each side of the table are microphones. So we're gonna be spending a lot of time hearing from our committees down on this side of the table. So if you need to, kind of turn that microphone facing you, so it's easy for everyone in the room, as well as everyone online to hear what you're saying. And we are going to resume with our committee reports, starting with the audit committee. Director Miranda cannot be with us this morning, but Director Carr kindly offered to give an update on the audit in his absence. So Director Carr,
Thanks, Adam. So as he was saying, the audit committee for the foundation did the minutes are in our handout that we received today. We already approved that. The highlight of it all is we are doing our routine foundation audit for it's currently different. Well, we don't have, if there's specific questions on that, if not made, we possibly have to further do it, but that.
Yes, so the financial audit for the fiscal year. Thank you. So the fiscal year 23-24 financial audit had gone yesterday, actually Monday. So the auditor was on site yesterday and they will be back tomorrow and Friday if necessary. They start doing sampling detailed testing. Right now, we don't have much to update other than everything is on schedule. I have prepared most of the probably 90% of the schedule they requested, 90 to 95%. And as they select the sample, we provide the supporting documents. Our turnaround is pretty quick. So basically, whatever they select the sample for, we turn around within 8 hours, 24 hours. Within the same workday. So everything is going smoothly right now. And they did have something test items they have not done before, but we will work with them to see exactly what they are looking for. So that's the current audit status. And we plan to have the financial audit draft before the October meeting for review and approval. And of course, prior to that, I will be working with them to go through different drafts. So it should be on schedule. Thank you.
One of the things that I wanted to address and talk about this morning is that I wear chair of the trustee audit. And first by saying that the past hour and a half since here in our presentation, he was motivated and excited by own place, Foundation, Alumni Association, have done over the course of the past year and change, and have in the works that we are. And that's what we should be spending our time and energy on, is foundation work. How do we help the school, and how can we raise money? How can we help students that way? That's fun. And unfortunately, over the course of pieces, we've had many conversations as far as where restricted funds are. And it's an important conversation to have, but I feel like at times it does impact morale of everyone. And this should be really just a feel-good place to be. Our time, money, attention to this. So, I know at some of the last foundation audit meetings that we had, we discussed various ways to try to audit. How are we going to find out where this money went from prior administrative? And long story short, once again, the audit committee had a conversation with our students, who is our chief ethics and audit officer. There is a precedent where he has audited our foundation. He's been, I want to say a routine occurrence, but he's done, so there's precedent there. I asked him, does he have time? Does he feel like he'd be able to audit the foundation, specifically what they're looking to do there and say yes. I asked the president if he would be willing to allocate Alex's time for these purposes, based on the expediency that Alex could do this, or we're not gonna have to look into how much it's gonna cost to hire, we can have somebody. And that was the sequence of events, and then just the thought process behind it. Let's get to the bottom of this as quickly and as expediently as possible. Alex was on board, the president was on board, so drafted that letter that went out to Adam and the rest of our foundation board, trying to be as open and transparent as far as what's going to be happening process, what you're taking. Alex, I've heard from many outside sources in Tallahassee and other audit agencies that we work with. Everybody says Alex is wonderful. Very part of the audits that we done. So I feel confident that he's going to give it all back to us with information. And when he does have some things, we'll all share it.
Thank you, Director Park. Do we have any questions? We have a few. Susan, I saw your hand first.
First of all, Director Karp, I totally agree with you. We want to focus on fundraising and all the good things that are happening. I completely agree. The board is made up of excellent people who really believe in New College and what. But I have to say, I do think that the board asking questions about the use of monies is our fiduciary duty and is extremely important. And I think it is what we should be discussing here. We are stewards. Our mission says the prudent management of money. And while that sometimes feels difficult, it seems like it's something the board should be addressing. At the audit committee a couple of weeks ago, the comments were about not the past financial practices, but current financial practices and the use of money to get clear on that. And there are motions in the minutes that the committee passed unanimously to have the board discuss. And I would like the board to discuss those. I would also like some clarity. I don't know if what you're allowed to say about this audit that is happening with past foundation practices. I think the board could really use some explanation about what is it that looks like wasn't done properly, and what is the process or the work plan moving forward. Our bylaws do say that we need an outside qualified auditor when we do our annual audit. And I know at the Board of Trustees meeting, this is considered an audit. So I don't understand. By extension, it seems like we should be using Malden and Jenkins. And I know I'm dumping a lot here, but because we're starting our audit and we had talked at the audit committee meeting, or you allowed me to talk. When this was discussed, it was about doing a more rigorous audit, perhaps a compliance audit. And this is just so we can move forward. If there are any questions about how anything that we are using donor money properly, let's just show that we are. If there are any mistakes that we have to correct, we can correct them. But I'll let there.
I agree with you overall. That point, Alex is just beginning that audit process for. I don't have any information at all.
Sorry, is there any way we could get a little closer to the mic? I'm just having a real hard time hearing. I'm hearing Susan fine, but the mic must be far away. Thank you.
So we're at the beginning stages right now, and when I have information, I will definitely share it with everybody. I know what you know at this point.
Yes, I hear what you're saying, Susan, and I think what we're ultimately trying to instill, not only with the board of directors here, but in the community, is that we are doing our due diligence and we are trying to look into these issues in the most prudent manner. And you heard earlier from President Corcoran that aside from multiple audits and lawsuits at multiple different levels, we are doing exactly what you're hoping for and getting the information that you need and giving you the confidence to go out and, to echo Director Karp's points, eventually get us to being a happy place as a foundation board of directors. We have trust in the confidence in the college and the board of trustees that they're doing what they need to be doing, and we need to be doing what we're doing, which is focusing on fundraising. And I understand the concept of fiduciary responsibility. I'm by employment a fiduciary, and that really pertains a lot to what we heard earlier from Marcus as it relates to the investments in the endowment. And a lot of this work gets done at the committee level. So I encourage everyone to attend these committee meetings, even if you're not on the committee, and get those questions answered at the committee level. I have a lot of confidence in our committee chairs and the work that they're doing. And then, of course, certainly reach out to staff for any additional questions that you don't feel that you're getting answered at a board meeting or a committee meeting. I did see a couple other hands. We have a minute or two.
Mine was just the question of inside or outside auditor, because we've always used third party. Why not now?
If I may, we do have the third party audit, that the audit is going on right now is with the third party, so that is Modern and Jenkins still, so we
Okay.
still have the audit. Alex audit is in addition to our financial audit.
There are two audits.
Right, and I guess my question is why? Why two?
Because of all the questions that have repeatedly come up, and I want to take the time as staff to thank the board of trustees for coming in and taking action. Because we have been talking about this for so long. And with the transition of staff, it's been difficult. And so I think to find out where we are now and where we're going, we have to know where we were, and we have to be able to paint a clear picture of where we were and say, here's where we were, here's where we are today, and here's where we're going. And we can't do that until everything from the past is in a manner that we can clearly present to you. So that's what we're trying to achieve. Once we receive the information from the internal, it will be presented to everybody. There will be, it will be full transparency, and we'll come up with a plan of how we're gonna move forward. We can't tell you how we're gonna move forward until we get that information.
But how would it compare with the external? Is it different periods? Is it gonna match up, external, internal?
So the external audit is focused on the recent past fiscal year 23-24.
23-24.
Yes, and it's at the financial statement, it's the foundation as a whole. So including the restricted, unrestricted is an overall financial status. In terms of the internal, it's focusing on the previous year. Mostly is on the operating, the unrestricted fund, how we spend the unrestricted fund, and that's the part that it has been discussed over the past few meetings about that if we are using the fund appropriately. So one of the goal is for this internal audit is for us to find out where we were and how we, like our beginning balance came from the previous year, and so that's part of the goal for this internal that.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure we weren't changing standard procedure.
No.
This is in addition to our normal audit. Director Guy?
Have we yet found the audit from the firm before Malden Jenkins that was supposedly done on the funds?
No.
Outside sources say they're in the vault. I don't know where the vault is.
Your outside sources can provide it to us, that would be wonderful. I don't know who you're referring to, but any information that anybody on the outside has that would like to provide to us would be very helpful.
So you don't know where.
We have a safe. It's not a vault.
So we don't know what they're referring to as the vault.
We have a safe
Right.
where cash is
how.
Director Gummer, as a best practice, you being a CPA, would the firms retain those records for X number of years?
For X number of years, that's the problem, is we're now past that 7-year period. And we've asked politely. We have not yet gone to the highest power. If we have to, because many times your IT department, even though they've been abandoned, deleted, may still be there.
Well, Director Carter, thank you
Wait,
for heading up this effort.
I still have a comment or a question that I'd like to make. In the minutes, we did talk about a need for a more granular audit of foundation finances. It sounds like this audit has begun, but we haven't really discussed whether we want a more rigorous audit. I know Brian Carter from Malden and Jenkins said he didn't audit, it would have been fewer than 10 funds as a random audit. And that the foundation could request a more rigorous audit. He said, just tell us what you want us to do. This was discussed at the audit committee meeting, and I would like to have a discussion about that. We should be doing a more rigorous audit that shows the use of restricted funds.
So I think we have 2 audits occurring at the same time, which is probably the most rigorous standard that this foundation has ever undertaken. And I believe we should wait for the results of both of those audits before we feel if we need to ask additional questions.
I would like to make some comments from the alumni perspective, which is, I mean, for me, I conceptualize this as a communication problem. I really need a way to reset the relationship with the alumni community in regard to alumni giving. And we've been through an incredible transition at the college and the process of giving the institution a new lease on life. It's a lot of things have happened. We just had a presentation from an investment advisor that whatever it really means will quickly generate various rumors and things. And a lot of things have been like that. And I need something to come back to them with to say, this is how we're going to give you absolute clarity and confidence that they actually want to support student research and travel. They are very interested in other proposals like pay preservation, which I realize is kind of a contingent and difficult thing, but they have interest in various things and they would like to participate in. And these issues swirling around are 100% getting in the way of it. And one thing I'll point to specifically is Novo Collegiate Alliance, which is an organization that alumni set up outside of the official alumni organization on their own, and has been quite critical of the administration. I won't portray it otherwise, but they issued a blog post recently which is talking about foundation finances and financial controls, and the contents of the post are pretty reasonable. I mean, they're saying we'd like more clarity about the use of restricted funds, but the title of the post is are restricted funds being used to fund President Corcoran's salary? ? It has a very unhelpful title. And I mean, so you can understand how rumors and things, a conversation is not driven by any kind of clarity or, true understanding. It's, I'm dealing with this, and it's a huge obstacle for me. I mean, to try to bring these people inside the tent and get them to understand what we're really doing. And I don't think everybody already knew from the audit, from the BOG look at DSOs that was done back in 2022, that there were some lapses in foundation financial controls back then, and now we found out more through the efforts of Trustee Karp. But, it's not that people are unwilling to get over that. They just need to know, this is where we stand now, and this is the plan, and they're not there right now.
Yeah, and I thank you for every effort you're making to engage the alumni to get us there. This is not something to be politicized. I think that the questions haven't been asked for years, and we are doing our due diligence to get the questions finally answered, so that hopefully the next couple of months we'll all be able, not only to the alumni, but to faculty and the community, give them these answers. 2 questions they should have quite frankly been asking for years. And so these questions may have come up in light of changes at the administrative level. But unfortunately, they should have been asked for many, many years prior, as opposed to just rubber stamping things that came before them. And we probably wouldn't be in this position where we actually are doing more than one audit. But I'm confident that Director Carp, under his leadership, working with Alex, working with Malden and Jenkins, we will finally get the answers to the questions that we've all been. So with that, I'd like to actually move us forward then, and sake of time, to your presentation, regarding the Alumni Association.
I did kind of fast forward some of I was going to make some comments about alumni sentiment, but I fast forwarded them to, or brought them forth earlier. But that's all right. We are holding elections for the Alumni Association Board right now, and it's an uncontested election because we eventually opened up 12 seats on the board, and there were 12 candidates. And there was a decision made by the board to accommodate all the candidates who volunteered by expanding the number of seats. So it's not really a contested election, but we thought it was a good idea to use and test the election machinery anyway. And the foundation helped us find a vendor who's actually providing the election interface that alumni can use to vote. But I am very, very happy that there were people in our alumni community who helped make the case about why service on this board is important during this time, and why engagement with the college is important. And I'm really happy that we have 12 people volunteering to be on the Alumni Association board. And I think we'll wind up with a total board size around 16, depending on whether certain people continue to serve or not. But just based on who's cycling off at the end of their terms, should be 16. An Alumni Association board of 16 people, which is a good deal more than we have now. We have 11 right now, and new energy. I really think it's a great group of people that the foundation and the administration can engage with and have more of a personal relationship with alumni. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm really grateful to people in the alumni community who talked about the association and kind of promoted that message and encouraged people to take the leap and volunteer for that. A lot of people do things like that and don't always get credit. So I wasn't sure if we'd be able to recruit anywhere near 12 candidates, but we did. It was mentioned, I think in Sydney's presentation, that we have alumni regional gatherings hosted by the foundation. That's really great. I hope that, if any of you happen to be in those cities when they're held, that you can come to them. But I just think it's a wonderful thing. 2 of them in October and 1 in December in Washington and Chicago and New York. And what most personally meaningful to me about it is the space it provides for recent graduates to come and kind of get some of that networking that helps them as they're often in very transitional phases of life with careers and graduate school and everything. So it really provides a lot of value to them in conjunction with what our career services have been doing for a long time and providing support to people even after they've graduated. So I'm grateful to the foundation for helping to set that up, and also to Nathan Allen, who's an alumnus, who's also an administrator at New College, who helped us get those going. And then we're doing the town hall with President Corcoran on August 28th. We've had a process and an online form by which alumni could submit questions. And Nathan Allen is going to sit down with President Corcoran and moderate this town hall in a webinar format on the evening of August 28th, asking the questions that the Alumni Association has put together. And we also have a process where we're going through the large number of questions we've gotten, and a committee from the Alumni Association board is kind of drawing out the high priority questions and main themes to give it a little bit of organization. So that's what's going on with us lately. It's all, I think, pretty good stuff, and I think we can expect a lot of new ideas and new energy from the new board members who will be coming on, and I hope that we can have a nice engagement with them. And I had a section of this called Alumni Perspectives, which I've already kind of advanced a little bit earlier in the meeting, but I think student research and travel, despite obstacles and despite wanting to have more of a conversation about how the foundation works, is still an area of high interest, and there's certainly interest in the historic preservation of the Pay buildings on the East Campus. And I know that that's a contingent thing, and it's difficult, and it's on land that is leased from another entity, but there's certainly interest in that. And I think that's worth noting. Finally, I think based on what the exchange with President Corker, and I had meant to say this in this presentation too, the business plan is a very useful tool for communicating with alumni. And, it's amazing how many conversations I have where there's a lot of anxiety expressed about the contract and narrative evaluation systems without even the knowledge that the business plan has a section about it. So that's it for me. Thank you for letting me update
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for everything you're doing. We look forward to interacting. Do you all have your next Alumni Association meeting set?
Yes, the date is September 25th. Let me.
Do committee members be part of that meeting?
Yes, they will. Yeah, that's September 25th, 4:30 p.m. Yeah, and we may do a little bit of orientation type of programming then.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Quick question, do you want alums from this board to go to that town hall?
By all means, yeah, I think, by all means, I know actually at least one of you has submitted questions already. So.
Sure.
So again, that's August 28th at 6 o'clock. It's just coming right up.
Yes.
I'll send out the invite.
And Katrina will send out another invite to the vote.
Send out the September 25th one. I will as well.
And do we have a good database of emails for alums? Because I know there was a meeting recently, I didn't get it, and so.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm just hoping.
Mine was doing it.
Was that okay?
Really?
Because I remember thinking, I missed it.
Actually, mine was. Oh, I need to use the word.
Yeah, well, and I'd like, since we're in a public meeting, I'll publicly say it. Many people have unsubscribed. If you unsubscribe, we are legally not allowed to resubscribe you. So if you're not getting our emails, there may be a reason.
Unsubscribe from what?
From New College. Foundation
Oh.
emails. I'm not saying you did, I'm saying a lot of alumni, in the past year have unsubscribed. And so we now are sending out information such as the town hall, and they are not able to get it because they unsubscribed. So now is an opportunity to kind of spread the word that to go back on and resubscribe.
Is there a way to do that?
Yeah.
We have.
I guess it's something Ben had
Can you mail?
mentioned during the town hall,
That's a
or
good
opening
question.
comments, or
That's a good question.
get the word out.
A Facebook page or.
We do have a link that people can use to opt into future comes, and we try to get that link out.
Okay, great. Then thank you. Larry, let's turn it over to you for finance committee report.
I've been waiting. On the fiscal year 2025 annual financial plan, I think a key down at the bottom that follows back up with something we were talking about before, on the funds that we used under the enhancements. We've got enhancements which go to the college, the 588, president salary 899, athletics $1 million, lobbyists 360, and scholarships 500,000. When we talk about how the restricted funds have been used in the past, what I want to focus on there is until President Corcoran came in, the salary was much less. And I want to go on record as saying, thank you, President Corcoran, for what you've done to get the money from Tallahassee, potentially saving New College. I mean, I want to fully recognize how critical those dollars and the amount he's brought in is to New College. But before, around 300,000, that was the prior president's salary, of which the state was paying 200,000. So that only left the foundation to come up with $100,000 there. We didn't have an athletic program. Our lobbies number was much smaller. The scholarships were up, but those came from, restricted dollars because we've got so many out there. So until President Corcoran arrived from the foundation standpoint, the need to raise unrestricted money was dramatically less. And so we're now moving into that period where the need for unrestricted dollars is massive. So the concept of where did money go before, I don't think, Adam, that we really had that big of a challenge before. And I want to see where they're coming up with that. And the records, the financials were all timely filed. We complied with everything. So it's going forward, we've got this issue. So it's totally different fundraising in the past as far as unrestricted dollars. It's just a small fraction of what we have now. So.
You'll recall that prior to the new administration coming in, that the foundation was funding its own operations, which we do significantly less.
Correct. So actually, it's a different issue now, 2 years now going forward. So the budget we had for this year was, trying to get to that page now. Moving there. Trying to see all mine. There we go. We have a foundation budget to actual report preliminary for July 23 to 6/30/24. That was important, and that the money we spent was less than what we'd budgeted by over $400,000, which was very important. Last year, we kicked into the budget being substantially different than the year before, because now we're focused on raising money or using money to go out and meet our donors, bring donors in. And with the first year, it was still getting into gear. So we didn't spend as much of those dollars as we had budgeted. And that was the goal by Sydney, to say, okay, I want more money budgeted so I don't have to come back and ask if I need it. The money's there. And so the budget for going into 25 is close to what our budget was this year. And one of the big changes was last year we had payroll that was on a temporary basis. That's in professional services. So that's part of why the salaries were down. And that was probably the biggest change as far as with the actual expenses being more. So I think we're pretty confident as far as where we've got the budget for this year. No major changes except for the fact that we've now got professionals on staff and we're not going at the temp there. So we're going to do a different breakdown going forward as far as on the contributions. That request has been made by a director as far as in the future, saying these are the restricted dollars that came in, the unrestricted dollars, kind of like what you showed on your chart there. And we'll make that change on the financials as well to show that. Do I have any questions?
Question, yeah, on the under investment income.
Yes.
It shows $44,000 budgeted, but 671 and change received.
I have no idea how that $44,000 came in the budget.
That seemed a little weird, but
Yeah.
more concerning is the next line down. It says losses on sale of investments over 1.1 million. What does that represent?
That, well, if you've got to realize, as Adam will tell you, those are securities that are actually sold positions that may have carried over from before. They close out those positions and you need to offset that, with the unrealized gains of almost $4 million. So you got to look at the net from that standpoint.
I see. So that's just activity in the endowment account. Got it. Okay. I figured that, but I just wanted to confirm.
And that would be where, everyone was saying, okay, we're going to have a market crash. And so they had some protected positions. Well, those went away. And they had some other securities that they may have transitioned over, but I want to look at the net of those two as really being the critical.
As a board, we had opted to change our asset allocations over the course of this year to de-risk the portfolio. So that would also cause our investment manager to make some changes in that position.
Thank you, Adam.
As directed by the board. It wasn't a unilateral change. The board directed it.
Although they do have the capacity to, within our investment policy guidelines, to maintain the realm that we bring out.
Jim, any other questions?
One final question. Are we as a board gonna have quarterly budget to actual reports going forward from here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's super important. I'm glad to hear that.
Totally agree.
So the good news is when we meet again in October, we should be looking at first quarter of this fiscal year. First.
And then Jim, just for a second, during this interim period before Salome came on, we didn't have those reports and I was not a happy camper.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked that.
Susan?
I think just piggybacking on what Jim had asked about, the endowment, so that money doesn't reflect the sale of endowments to pay for operations then, or salaries or scholarships. That's not, we're not selling or trading to make up a deficit.
No, I think you've heard it in Marcus's report where they add positions or take new positions, or positions as it relates to options as they expire. Those will generate realized gains or losses. So just a normal activity that we've given them discretion to do, will generate gains and losses throughout the year.
So we have not been using endowment money to pay, like we haven't been selling any endowments to pay for operations.
Outside of the 3.5% spend rate.
Okay, great, okay.
And
And then the last, I'm sorry, go ahead.
if you go to the statement of financial position, there you see our cash was beginning of year at 5.6 million and it was a 4.3 at the end of the year. So we had existing cash on hand to help with that. And that was this one, Susan.
I'm not looking
So
for
it's-
something.
Should be tucked in there somewhere.
Oh, here it is.
It was a statement of financial position, which looked like this,
Okay, and what's the number you just referenced?
the cash at the very top.
So Sydney, I know a lot.
Okay, wait, I just one more question, I'm sorry.
I just want to commend you for actually, well, within our budgeted range. I know there's a lot of moving parts, but Susan, please.
I'm sorry, one more question. I just wanted to find out for the 1 million that we have in our 2025 budget that we are raising for athletics. Can you just talk about what that's going to again? It's salaries and what?
It's any athletic expense that's not covered under PNG dollars. So
For the men's program.
for it's Title IX, a lot of it's Title IX. Then coaches' salaries, food, things that the college can't pay for.
Okay.
But it's just for
For the men's program, the women's programs are covered.
The salaries.
Right.
In
But
terms of,
there's still equipment, just things.
Yeah.
in terms of salaries, I thought I heard something at the Board of Trustees that the foundation only pays for salaries over 200,000. Is that true for
No.
athletics, or did I misunderstand this? That's just the president, okay. Okay, so it doesn't apply to anybody else.
And just so we're clear, the college gives us those numbers, like the numbers. We, at the foundation, we don't come up with that $1 million. It's provided to us by the finance department of the college, in their overall budget. And then they say, here's, what we need from the foundation to raise, and then we go out, raise it, and provide it to them.
As we've discussed, there's a number of initiatives going towards athletics, and we saw in Sydney's report, there being no additional questions for Larry. Director Burns will move to your governance committee report. I think we're all very excited to receive your report. And I just want to draw my attention towards the back of your packet. You have some information there on some proposed new board members. And Susan, we'd love to hear you.
Okay. Well, the governance committee tackled two big projects in the last several months. We were bringing on new board members and revising our bylaws. So before I get into any discussion about that, I just want to thank everybody on the committee because everyone did a lot of work and put a lot of time into this, and I really appreciate it. So some background just about our bylaws and bringing in new board members. Our bylaws require a minimum of 12 members and a maximum of 28. This is not accounting our ex officio members. Currently, we have 11 elected members. So the committee met during the spring and the summer to recruit and interview possible candidates for the board, and we discussed our needs on the board. The priorities were fundraising, knowledge of the institution, alumni were important for this reason, and diversity. We also used a board source rating sheet as a guide for evaluating candidates. So after a couple of months, we had 5 candidates remaining. All were approved by the governance committee, and you will see their bios in your packet. Do you have, tell me the procedure here. I could ask for a motion to approve all 5 at once, or do we do them separately?
Mr. Chair, it would be appropriate for you as chair to call for a motion on each individual nominee, and then do a roll call vote on each of those nominees.
Okay, thank you. Could we have a motion to approve, let's see, who's our first candidate?
So we'd be looking for a motion to approve
Henry Anthony?
Henry Anthony
Yeah.
for a 3-year term to the Alumni Board.
So moved.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Oh, you recommended it would be a roll call vote, so, Katrina, you could.
Okay, the roll call vote for Henry Anthony, Deborah James.
No.
Lance Carr. Steve Fitzpatrick. No. AJ Jansen.
No.
Adam Kendall.
Yes.
Larry Dimer.
Yes.
Monica Van Buskirk. Monica,
What? Excuse, I didn't understand the question.
are you voting in support of?
Yes, yes. Okay.
Right, JJ Miranda's not here, Jim McDonald,
Yes.
Susan Burns.
Yes.
Greg Douglas isn't here, Ben Brown,
Yes.
Brian McCarthy,
Yes.
Hazel Bradford,
Yes.
Rob Vilat,
Us.
and Elizabeth Moore.
Yes.
Okay, and the ayes have it. Motion passes.
Seeking a motion to approve Lawrence Bowdish for 3-year term to the New College Foundation Board.
So moved.
A second.
The motion and a second, any discussion? Your next, proceed with the roll call.
Okay, Orange, Bodish, Deborah James. No. Christy Fitzpatrick. No. AJ Jansen.
No.
Adam Kendall.
Yes.
Larry Dimer.
Yes.
Monica Van Buskirk.
Yes.
Jim McDonald.
Yes.
Susan Burns.
Yes.
Ben Brown.
Yes.
Brian McCarthy.
Yes.
Hazel Bradford.
Yes.
Rob Vilat.
Yes.
And Elizabeth Moore.
Yes.
The ayes have it. Motion passes.
Motion to approve Mark Pestek for a 3-year term to the New College Foundation Board of Directors.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll say a comment that Monica was talking about the efficacy of direct mailing campaigns and this, direct mailing. If you'd like to turn it over to you.
All right, Deborah James.
Yes.
Christy Fitzpatrick. Yes. AJ Jansen,
Yes.
Adam Kendall,
Yes.
Larry Diamond,
Yes.
Monica Van Busker,
Yes.
Jim McDonald,
Yes.
Susan Burns.
Yes.
Ben Brown,
Yes.
Brian McCarthy,
Yes.
Basil Bradford,
No.
Rob Balot,
Yes.
Elizabeth Moore.
Yes.
The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Motion to approve Joshua Eber for a 3-year term to the New College Foundation Board of Directors.
So moved.
I have a comment about this candidate. Oh, sorry, yes. I just wanted to say, I've gotten to know Josh a little bit over the last few months, and he graduated from New College, I believe, last spring in a master's program here, and is now doing a very prestigious fellowship, very, very impressive academic credentials, but importantly, and very plugged into the community of students and recent graduates. He was active in the student government up until he graduated, and had a pretty good working relationship with President Corcoran, I believe. But I'm quite impressed with him. But I just think it's strategically very valuable for us to have someone who's so plugged into recent graduates and current students. So I'm a strong endorser of this candidate in particular.
I think any of us have had the opportunity to meet Josh, sharing the sentiment. So, if you're that, we will proceed with the vote.
Deborah James. Christy Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
AJ Jansen,
Yes.
Adam Kendall,
Yes.
Larry Dimer,
Yes.
Monica Van Busker,
Yes.
Jim McDonald,
Yes.
Susan Burns.
Yes.
Ben Brown,
Yes.
Brian McCarthy,
Yes.
Basil Bradford. Rob Balot, Elizabeth Moore.
Yes.
The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Thank you. Seeking a motion to approve Dr. Dave Smith for a 3-year term to the New College Foundation Board of Directors.
So moved.
Second.
A second. Okay, we proceed with the roll call.
Deborah James.
Yes.
Christy Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
AJ Jansen,
Yes.
Adam Kendall,
Yes.
Larry Dimer,
Yes.
Monica Van Busker,
Yes.
Jim McDonald,
Yes.
Susan Burns,
Yes.
Ben Brown,
Yes.
Brian McCarthy,
Yes.
Basil Bradford,
Yes.
Rob Balot, and Elizabeth Moore.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That's great. So, we have 5 potential new board members that will be referred to the Board of Trustees for their approval. And, we will look forward to welcoming our new board members at our October meeting. Those that are approved, you can be available. We thank you for all your work.
No, thank you, committee. I really appreciate it. We have we have really good board members coming on. The other issue that we tackled was a revision of our bylaws. Another thank you to Jim McDonald for volunteering to take this thankless task on and going line by line to produce a draft for us. It then went through David Brickhouse for to make sure we're complying with all legalities. So the two of them met and reviewed and made changes, and there were quite a few, and they presented them to the committee last week. There was one document to review that was combined, that combined Jim's draft and then David's input. So our current bylaws state that we are going to review every 3 years, and given the changes that we've had at the college, our bylaws are an extremely important document because they govern how we operate and who sits on the board when we meet, and the primary functions of our committees. So we had a lot to go through, and we made it through page 2. That was it. And I think that was more than an hour for sure. It was, but it does show we have a very engaged committee that cares a lot
Not a rubber
about,
stamp.
no, we, so we will be meeting again, and my hope is that we will be able to vote on the full set of bylaws by our annual meeting. You can see from the minutes if anybody has any, questions about what the two issues that we were most concerned about. And if anybody has any questions about that, we'll talk about them. But again, I just want to thank the committee for all their attention to detail and the robust discussions we had about our bylaws.
Yes, thank you, Director Burns, for heading up that committee, and Director McDonald, thank you, and David, thank you for your insight, input. We hope the next meeting we get through the next 9 meetings. And Susan's pointing Brady's new bylaws to the full board, hopefully by August. Thank you, Susan. Hazel, can we hear from you? Amanda?
You can. I have a quick question about that though. Is there any deadline or concern about not having the bylaws updated by a certain point? So we're just doing the best we can.
Yep.
That's good. And I'm filling in for Briggs Douglas as chair of the investment committee, but I do cover institutional investing, so I have been hopefully helpful on this process of the RFP. They requested to replace Rothschild with a new, the term is OCIO, it's outside chief investment officer. It is not just an asset manager who buys and sells stock and bonds and everything else. It is the advisor of what we have, where our risk, our return profiles, our goals, benchmarks, etc. So it's a bigger job. It is a big job, and that's what Rothschild, I think, has done well, obviously by the numbers. So we started with 19 respondents, and so again, talk about the committee members just buckling down and doing the work. We went through 19 of those, narrowed it down to 4. So those final 4, we were this close to choosing, and then the hurricane. Because those have to be in person, and those were scheduled for Hurricane Debbie Day. So that has been rescheduled. There's nothing else to read between the lines there. It was just weather. And so good news is that we have a new time for that, which is September 24, and we will hear from those 4. And it's an interesting mix. It's 2 what we call boutique institutional investing boutique firms that are small, but obviously very experienced, and then 2 affiliated with large banks, but that have endowment and foundation practices. So it's not just going to your bank and saying handle our money. These are specific experts in foundation money. Risk, not just money. So we've got 2 of each, 2 big, 2 little, and I feel it's a good choice to make the final one. And that will be made on September 24th. Not only will we hear from them, but we're going to decide that day.
So can I understand that the OCIO process was already extended to the staff? It wasn't designed to replace Rothschild. They were part of and the committee vetted these applications, and some were really big and some were still big, and everybody got interviewed, and the committee had a discussion that we had to, winnow the universe down to a manageable group that we could then vet and I guess recommend to the foundation. I would note that my understanding is, we are the only school in the state university system of universities that we're using a non-domestic investment advisor. And the committee, we discussed, I think it's going to be very important ultimately to have an OCIO entity that's going to be, tied to us, tied to the community, tied to the foundation,
committed to not only managing our investments, but frankly, being somewhat of a partner and helping us, grow. And so Hazel created a list of, pluses and minuses for us to consider for each, applicant. And I assure you that everybody was fully and completely vetted by the committee members and interviewed and asked questions, and everybody had a full and fair opportunity as a potential OCIO to this organization to be heard.
It's gonna be a tough decision.
Right.
We have some great, you guys have done a great job. We
Well,
have some great.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with all of it.
And taking it down to 4 was, even an issue, how many do we want to consider? And so we vetted and vetted and vetted and came up with the 4 that we could agree on.
Yeah. And I think I felt comfortable that we also had an OCIO specialist in nonprofit endowment, governance and investing. So we had belts and suspenders on this one. We had someone telling us this is what the best way to do it, consulting with us, and he'll be tapping into that final meeting to, and he's given us a lot of guidance on what to ask and what to put in that rubric for judging. So again, this gets back to that independent voice telling us the best practices. So I'm very comfortable that we follow.
And we had the meeting scheduled for that Monday, and the Friday before was when we talked with the storm, not sure where it was going to be. Was going to North River, we're going to have applicants fly in to Sarasota from various places, some are local, some weren't. And that's what community members, and because the state basically shut down, we had to cancel that meeting, so that's what happened.
Do we have any questions for the investment committee?
Yes, we're not hearing very well up above. Could someone clarify again what the OCIO is for some of us who don't know that?
Stands for Outside Chief Investment Officer. And they are tasked with helping us with our investment policy statement and then managing investments at their discretion within the guidelines of that investment policy statement. As well as offering us best practices as a foundation. As Hazel alluded to, it is a really multifaceted role. And so aside from just managing the portfolio, we're looking to actively engage them, not only to give us updates on the performance, their philosophy, but to be active partners in the community, as well as, part of this, I don't want to rehash the process that we went through to get here, but because there was a lot of things with the past contract, as well as the investment policy statement that we're supposed to be governing ourselves by, we're looking to make sure that we clear that up and have really good practices going forward within the investment policy statement.
Adam, did we choose somebody? That wasn't clear from.
We have not chosen someone yet. We're down to 4 finalists, and that decision will be made on September 24th.
Oh, so the 4 that were reduced down, they have the additional responsibility of OCIO?
That's effectively what we have now.
Yeah.
But the question is, when the investment committee was tasked with reviewing all the proposals, Rothschild included, we are trying to determine who is the best fit for the New College Foundation in that total role, as opposed to just managing the money.
Thank you. That's very clear.
But the next date is at the October board meeting, you will have the decision.
Come our October meeting.
When
So-
is that? Is that on the calendar already?
Is it the 25th?
23rd.
23rd, October 23rd, 9:00 here. Okay, Hazel, thank you. Thank you for filling in for Greg. Thank you for all of your work. I know it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for the people that are making the proposals as well. So we are at the part of the day I've been looking most forward to. And I assure you, even though we're slightly off time, I think we can make sure the advancement committee has plenty of time that they need. I don't foresee bringing a lot of new business for you, nor taking a lengthy amount of time to close this meeting down. this is what we're here to do. This is important. I want to thank Director McDonald for agreeing to chair this committee. Working so closely with Jen, who's doing a fabulous job at the foundation and in the community. So I know I speak for the board and for those online. We're really excited to hear what you have to say to us today.
Okay, well, I'll start it off. After a hiatus of about 5 years, we reconstituted the advancement committee and had our first meeting on July 9th. One of the key decisions we made at that time, well, actually the decision had been made earlier, I guess, by staff, but what we really started engaging with at that point was a consultant called AmFil. And AmFil is a national consulting organization that helps nonprofits secure grants from philanthropic foundations, some corporations, but mostly philanthropic foundations. And they're in the process of identifying for us potential targets to ask for specific grants. This is a good time for educational grants. A lot of private philanthropic foundations are more interested in giving money to educational institutions, especially liberal arts institutions, especially institutions that are emphasizing civil discourse and free speech. And so I think it's a good, they're going to hopefully help us substantially in that regard to do things that we don't really have the resources to do ourselves. We meet with them every other week by phone, by video conference, basically. And they are committed to giving us 10 leads per month.
Wow.
We are still trying to digest the first 5 that they gave us a month and a half ago. So, I'm more interested in quality than quantity, but, we're working on one right now. I won't say here yet what it is, but it would be a nice win if we could get it as the first win, because it's aligned a lot with us and where we are and such. During our first meeting, I identified 6 pipelines of revenue for the foundation. And I thought that might be helpful for the advancement committee and the board more generally to understand, what we need to accomplish and how to accomplish it. The first pipeline is planned giving and bequests. It's not really much we can do about that. People put the foundation in their will or their trust, and then, things happen, people pass on, and the money eventually comes to us, but there's not anything we can really do to manage that. There's investment income, which obviously the investment committee, is working hard on picking a new OCIO to make sure that we're getting the returns from the investment that we need from our endowment. There are events like the clam bake and some other things that we've been discussing earlier here today that should produce revenue if we're doing it right, and they do produce revenue. There's alumni support, which we've talked a lot about. That's a big challenge, but we're attacking it in conjunction with the Alumni Association. There's community support, which we believe we need to re-engage. In years past, New College enjoyed widespread and deep community support, and a lot of that has, I won't say it's gone away, but I think it needs to be reinvigorated. When I'm in the community talking to people about New College, I don't know that I've ever received a negative response. Sometimes, people say, well, I've been reading things in the newspaper, or, I didn't know what's going on, or I'm hearing things and this sort of thing. But I think New College still has a very positive image in the community, and we as a board, and certainly we will lead that effort in the advancement committee to reinvigorate the links between New College and the general Sarasota Manatee community. And then finally, the last pipeline is philanthropic sources. And historically, the foundation has received support from philanthropic foundations, although many of them have been more local than national. And we thought this was a hole that needed to be addressed. And that's why we decided to engage with Amphil. So of the 6 pipelines, 4 of the pipelines we believe are within our control. That's events, alumni support, community support, and philanthropic sources. And so we're going to set to work on those. My plan is to, I was waiting for today's vote on the new board members. And once they're seated, I want to have our next meeting as a study session, not be bound by an hour time frame, but spend some time brainstorming with our current advancement committee members and our new members, and do maybe a little strategic planning and some sort of imagineering, I think they call it, in terms of not just thinking of good ideas, but thinking about how do we put them into practice, what's feasible, what's not feasible. We're not going to solve all the issues in one meeting, but I think that would be the logical next step. So that's where we are. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
I wonder if you're going to be working on a presentation or a narrative that all of us can use as we go out into the community. I still feel like I'm not exactly sure how to explain who we are. I mean, we'll hear occasionally, it's the Hillsdale of the South. I've heard that that's not true at all. That's been repudiated, but it comes up over and over again. It would be really nice to have something written down that gives us that story.
Right, that's a good point, and I think that's something we want to we'll want to address in our next planning session.
If you kick it off, you have a package.
Right.
Jen's
Okay.
going to,
Well, yes, I was just gonna say, you know, I wanted to finish mine and then kind of introduce Jen, who's our staff support for the advancement committee and is working really hard on a lot of this stuff, the kind of behind the scenes to make all this happen. So she's gonna do the other half of the advancement committee presentation. Sure.
Larry, one question. Yeah. As you're out in the community, one thing that may come up since we've just had the book dump per se, and something you may not be familiar with, going back to the late 1990s, if not in 2000, there's a special fundraising group that was out, Technique, that raised money for the library, and we've got $1.5 million in the foundation right now. It's among our funds. And so you may get that question as far as, because in the first 30 years, the book that we have, anyone doesn't have a book, please ask for it. I gave one to our new member this morning, talks about that. There were no books originally, and it was all in the community to raise money for that.
The library says.
The library,
Right.
yeah. And so the state may have come in and bought some of those books, but probably the majority of them came from the old fundraising group. And so they may ask about that. So I'm just giving you a heads up, and that we still have money in the foundation to buy whatever new books we have. I'm not sure what restrictions are on those money. I understand we've got outside money now paying for the fixing the roof, which is great. But so just that it was a huge community support area before we've got the fundraising events we have now.
It was.
So that group is out there.
Yeah. Good. Thanks.
Thanks, Jen. I enjoy working with each and every one of you guys, personally on your giving. It's a joy, so thank you for allowing us to do that. The packet is really supposed to be a toolkit for you to do part of your mission, which is to help get out into the community and, attract like-minded parties to equality in what we're doing. The donor toolkit is an overview of a little bit of everything, the events. The second page is scholarship funds, which are all on our webpage, and I can send this following the meeting because it has live links for you to be linked to the scholarship funds. There are athletics, there are athletic scholarships, there are student research and travel grants, and those are all restricted funds to their designated purpose and set up in our financial system. So then if your parties might be interested in that Joining an honor society is our community society and coaches club, and that gives you a little bit more of a community feeling. And I'll speak to that toward the end, because the pipeline for meeting someone, unless they're just been involved, might be just to start to go to a conversation and cocktails. So I printed the invitation, which I will also send digitally for September and October. President Portman speaks, and as we hear today, he has so much information that just invigorates people to get involved here, and they find parts of the college and the students that they really want to get that they find interesting. So those are where you'll get recent topics covered, and sometimes we have a mission moment and you have a cocktail. They're free, and you are welcome to bring guests to any of those. Next would be our signature events, Plan B. It in its 45th year, and there's sponsorship opportunities available. So you could buy a bigger sponsorship packet and with more tickets and bring guests, or you could also choose to just buy once for yourself. So that's an opportunity with a little bit more investment. The Mighty Banyan Royale is the athletics gala from last year. That's March 1st. I have to save the date in there. There's sponsorship availability for that. And we are trying to keep the community tickets down to $100 so that it's real accessible for everybody. And that is going to be focused on athletics. Next is the corporate package, and this really just starts as a draft. I customized this for corporation. It has a salvo on the front. And I packaged for specific businesses, I packaged all three of our signature events and presented it with them with the price point that they were interested, based on their budget. And so I've done them customized to like 50,000, 25,000. So they're really designed me working with a company to give them the experience that they want across the board. And that gives a chance for them to really get involved in all aspects of our signature events and different buckets. The Casino Night is a completely different event than Plan Bacon, totally different in attendance. So the Socratic table is going to be a finale signature event to wrap up the Socratic stage speaking series. And so we are seeking a celebrity speaker, and that would be open to the community in the theater aspect, and then followed by a private donor function. So there's a lot to be determined, because once we have the speaker, we'll know how to frame that out a little bit more. And then following is the president's our community society, and that is more of a membership of the sustainability tool for the foundation. Many of you are in it. It's a 3-year pledge. You're a donor to plan you're giving, and you're making an intention to continue. It's a sustainability tool that helps us, and then any money that you give goes to our communities, but for as a society, however, many of you like Jim, you know, some is law society, some is plan based, some is, you know, something else. So you really can have the ability to move your money where you want it. You're just saying, I'm choosing to commit to supporting for the future, and that helps us plan accordingly. We put those in as budgets, and following that is the coaches club, which is for athletics, and you get merch. I also want to say there's a soccer game tomorrow, so you can check the athletics schedule, start going to some of the athletic events as you see on the calendar, and have a little bit more experience with people. I'm happy to say unrestricted funds in the fundraising world is something I'm passionate about raising, because then as the college comes to us and says, we want to do this program or do that, we can funnel it. When you restrict it, it can only go to that. So that's really how I see it as a fundraiser. And I'm always happy to work with anyone on them having specific desires. So that's not a problem for us. And I know that Sydney and I work really closely with a lot of the donors, and we follow up with them to make sure that our conversations are captured in the donor text captured. So I'm happy to work with any of you guys to in your giving. And I know that's a lot, so I'm open to any questions.
The SRTG has a direct link, so the ones wanna repeat one contribute to that one. Rather this thing, that's earmarked just for that. That's correct.
It goes to the CEO, and Sean May has specific funds, like our donor database, but even like with the giving challenge, that all came into Sarasota Community Foundation, was earmarked and put into the fund. And then that's transferred, to our system to financial allocation. Then they request funds for their year, and then we allocate the funds that they requested for SRTG.
Thank you. That's helpful to put that out there.
So calendar.
Can-
looks
can
like
I have a question about-
Committee meetings, events, board meetings, Susan, please.
So I've heard the second floor of College Hall has been renovated and remodeled. And is that the Archimedes Society Club, or what is, I'm hearing about it, but I haven't been up there.
It's a Archimedes room, and it's private function room for in the Archimedes packet. We have events that we're gonna fall and spring, and so we haven't determined exactly how we're gonna if we're gonna have more, but we'll have dinner. We had a lunch so far, and that was for everyone. We have 41 Archimedes Society members, and we are in the midst of planning a fall event, and it's not official yet. It's not booking talent, so we're not, we don't have it set lockdown yet. But the room is up there on the second floor.
Oh, it's one room.
It's not the whole floor.
No, it's not the whole floor. It's one room.
Okay,
There's offices.
okay.
And it's a place to meet with donors as well for the foundation and have a conversation with the president, any.
As I say, the campus is open, and we'd like to arrange a tour of any part of it or all of it. We'd be happy to help facilitate that, as well as if you'd like to bring a potential donor, a guest. There's so much happening. I took a tour recently. I couldn't believe how much is happening so quickly. And it's all very, very wonderful, exciting things, especially you go down by Sanger. I mean, there's just a lot of opportunity for events, for community engagement. I kind of envision New College being a campus where a lot of members of the community are just going to come and be, not just for our events, but just the sense of being that you get when you're here, physically speaking. But I know when I first had put on campus, I thought something special and it's too as well. So any questions for Jim or Jen? And thank you again for putting it together for us in a format. Now we're actually armed with physical print. I'm sure if you can get us additional copies or links to the websites if we need them.
I'll send it digitally.
So that if you're engaging corporations or individuals or philanthropists, you can easily point them into a direction that they should have.
And I'm just gonna venture a guess here, Sydney, that we still have room for some more sponsors on Plan Bake.
Yes, I didn't think that, but we're very excited. Our top sponsorship was sold, so kudos to Jen for doing that. 25,000.
25,000 was the title sponsorship. We have 148,000 in commitments, which is actually the total amount raised last year. So we're above target, and we hope our goal on part two was 500,000. So it's 100,000 more than last year. So I think we're gonna. You can agree. Yeah.
And I'll just really quickly say, so Pinbake is that money does go directly to scholarship and the college. We have transformed that event to be a little more intimate, higher ticket price, smaller event, but raise more money. And then we're adding the athletic gala as well as the third event that will have a wider range of ticket costs. So we want everyone in the community to have an opportunity to support the college. So if Pinbake isn't the right one, there will be many other opportunities at a lower ticket cost.
I thought the brochure that went out was a little vague as far as that commitment this year
Which brochure?
that went out on Clam Bay. It kind of referred, but didn't specifically say this is where the money was going.
Are you, the letter from?
There was, yeah, the mailer that went out.
Oh, you mean?
Oh, that was the date.
That was just the date.
Yeah.
That was just drive on to call or.
Yeah, but there was, whatever I got in the mail was more detailed, but it was vague as far as.
So all the funds will go to scholarships. Not.
Whereas last year we had it for the new master's program.
That's still the focus.
It's in your letter
Yeah, much more.
on the top of it.
So do we have any new business to bring before the board?
Sorry, I know everybody wants to go to lunch, but I do want to go back to the first point that was raised by a caller on fiduciary duty. You and I know. Because that drives everything, including fundraising. You know, you have to ensure donors, potential and current, that we are doing our fiduciary duty. And it prevents the board members from liability. If you're doing, if you're taking it seriously. So at the last governance committee, the prospect of the College Board of Trustees, quote, shutting down, end quote, this board was raised. That's not a good feeling. So I think we need some explanation of that.
It wasn't intended to be a good feeling.
Right.
The board of trustees of every state in the system. It's in the statute. Has the obligation to take account the DSO is not serving its role, is not operating correctly.
Sure.
It's not that we don't like the DSO, but there's an obligation on the colleges, or each college, not the new college, to not have that DS to be certified. And obviously you do, each school needs a DSO in order to was one DSO, but it's an obligation of the board of trustees to make sure that the foundation board, in this case, the DSO of the new college, is doing its job, and that's something that as a board, we have the obligation to do it, which the DSO is not.
Sure, but why did it come up in the context of the bylaws?
So
I believe, Mr. Chair, I believe it, to provide context on that, I believe it was in response to a question regarding the chair's ability to appoint members, and I raised it as with another example of board of trustees delegating primary authority to their chair in terms of appointing members, as well as kind of the primary responsibility for making the annual recommendation to certify or decertify each of the college's DSOs. So it was a contextual reference, not, related to bylaws.
But it is an ongoing conversation. So my question is to these board members, will we know when it's a real consideration?
Well, it's the prerogative of the board of trustees, and as the chair mentioned, that's an annual consideration that they're required to undertake by Florida law. So it's an annual thing that they have to do, have an obligation.
Then when does it come up again? When's the year, when is the next year?
I don't know, can't say off the top of my head.
And what happens if we are? What happens to the money? If donors ask. What do we tell them?
There's a process outlined in statute, but essentially you can other universities that have done this, you create another DSO and transfer the assets.
you can't, money's going to be a company.
Right, who's gonna oversee?
It's gonna be operated through, I mean, but you have to understand that within most of us, college side, just in fact, you had a DSO where the director walked off, the other paid employee walked off. I guess the accountant, walked off, And the directors that sat on the foundation's volunteers signed off and everybody went off in different directions. In fact, they were not very supportive of anything that was consistent with the new college of Florida mission, which is to make us the top liberal arts school, the liberal arts school, as statute is said. So, you know.
We lost our video feed of you guys. Sorry to interrupt.
If there was ever a
There we
time,
go.
where, you know, this sort of communication, you know, could have happened, it was probably then. But this did come up in discussion with governments, and we just wanted to make it clear that the Board of Trustees of the New College of Florida has the obligation to make sure that this foundation is performing its function, which is to support the college.
Director McDonald.
I think it's a messaging thing. I've heard it the same way that he's. And you've got a lot of new people here working really hard. We're volunteers. We've got a lot of staff people working long hours. We're all pointing in the same direction. And I think we heard today that good things are happening. Good things are starting to happen. And to hear that the Board of Trustees could just shut us down at any time, I know that's not what you meant. And I know that the law says that because there are all kinds of reasons why we need to say that. It was just a messaging thing. And I think the message we should be giving this board is, okay, we're doing something really good here and we're still just getting started. And as Sydney says, we're a lot like a startup. But you know, let's just keep doing the good stuff, and kudos to everybody for working hard and starting to achieve some results. Not, you know, you have to worry that there's this hanging thread of at any time we might be shut down. And I know that's not what anybody meant, but I think that's what some of us do.
And Director Gala, Director Bradford, I appreciate you raising the comment. I think what we're all experiencing here, because of the transition, we're asking a lot of questions that were never asked before. So as a board of directors, both existing and new, we actually are way more familiar with the process of what a DSO is, what our role here is as directors of the New College Foundation, how we can work closely with staff to support the goals of raising money for this great institution that we all care so much about. My message to you is, you don't need to be afraid. You need to be excited. And if someone comes to you with something that sounds concerning, if you don't have the answer, let them know that you will give them the answer. And that it'll be an honest answer and the best attempt at satisfying any doubts that they may have that may prohibit them from wanting to make a donation. Remember that within this foundation, we have something for everyone. If you want to support a program that is near and dear to your heart, we can carve out a piece of our endowment for you to do that. If you want to support athletics, you've heard so many different initiatives that are brand new that you can get behind. But don't forget that you can also cultivate a donor with a very specific request. And again, that really goes back to what I'd like to see from the alumni and the faculty, things that are very near and dear to them. There are ways that you can support New College and achieve that mission that is near and dear to you. So we heard a lot of great things today. We heard from our president, our CFO, we had a chair of the Board of Trustees. We are digging deep into getting all of your questions answered. We've been armed with some great information to go out and raise funds. And I'm going to tell you at our next meeting in October, which serves as our annual meeting, we're going to have some educational component to further give you that confidence to go out and raise money in the community. I want to thank all of the committees for the work you have done and will be doing in the interim. And again, thank you for those of us joining us online. We're going to continue to work on the audio visual side here to enhance that experience for you. I appreciate everyone that traveled that isn't local to get here. I wish you all safe trips to wherever you're heading next. And look forward to seeing you all at the committee and hopefully the president's cocktail today, bring a friend, and many of the other great things we have happening. So thank you so much. The meeting stands adjourned.
All right, Jim, you got the book, The First 30 Years of New College?
I have several copies.